Hey guys, welcome back. This is your host Phil from underKG.com, and today we're going to take a look on the LG G8 ThinQ. Now this is a South Korean model with triple cameras instead of dual like rest of the world, but aside from that, everything else is identical. Firstly, design-wise, there's not much to surprise us. It's got thicker bezels than competitors, there's still a notch on top, there's a classic fingerprint reader on the back instead of the one built in the screen. Well, they did try to make it fancier with the flush finish, no camera bump, and the call speaker built into the screen instead of in the notch. Now thanks to that, the G8 ThinQ is one of the most slippery phones that I've ever tried, aside from a few of the Sony ones, but maybe there are not that many things to worry about it since it is IP68 water and dust resistant and mil-spec certified. Display wise, it's got the OLED panel with the QHD Plus resolution. Now the predecessor of the IPS screen, they claim that the G's for the IPS displays and the V series is for the OLED panel. Now they changed the strategy to make the G series into the 4G LTE phone and V series into 5G phone. Now there are some interesting features like True View that's just like the Apple's True Tone display. This reads the surrounding color temperature and matches the screen's white balance to the surroundings. And there are a number of screen color modes starting from Auto, Cinema, Sports, Game, Photos, Web, and Expert, in which you can change almost every possible values, including saturation, hue, and sharpness. Now I wouldn't say that it's a bad panel, but the colors look a little oversaturated for me even after I toned down the values. And also the outdoor legibility is a bit weird. Other devices tone the color down under the direct sunlight, but this actually boosts them, so it's even harder to distinguish colors. And unlike their promise, the new second screen hiding feature, which is their fancy name of notch, doesn't work for anything else than the LG's native apps. So unless you're using your phone solely with the pre-installed apps, the notch hiding feature is going to turn itself on and off all the time. Now we have to talk about the new features, and one of the biggest ones is the TOF sensor. TOF sensor and the laser emitter combined, they call it the Z camera. So in a simple term, they put something very similar to the iPhone X series' Face ID system, which means the face unlock is faster and more secure and even works without any light. And they added the Hand ID, which reads the veins in your palm and uses that as a security measure. So you put your palm on top of the phone within the right distance. Give it a few seconds. If you're lucky, you're gonna have an unlocked phone. Now the thing about this is you have to always maintain the right distance, that is 15 to 20 centimeters from the sensor. And though I always welcome the additional options, I really don't see why you wanna use your palm instead of fingerprint or Face ID that works incredibly well, or pin code or the pattern. Because this takes a lot more effort than rest of the security systems. I mean, think about it, you have to turn your phone on and maintain the distance, and wait a few seconds, and finally the phone is gonna unlock. And what are you gonna do here? You have to touch it anyway. If you're gonna touch your phone for any actions that you're about to take, why don't you just type in your PIN code? Well, I mean, of course, I just thought of that. So there's the auto detection feature. Whenever there's something close to it, the phone is gonna turn on and start recognize your palm. The problem here is that the sensor doesn't know whether it is your palm or literally anything else. As long as it's blocking the sensor, it's gonna turn on the screen. So if you have it on your desk just working on something, you wanna grab something, you stretch your arm, and it's gonna turn itself on. And there are the gesture controls. You put your palm on top of it, give it a few seconds, it's gonna show you that it's ready to take any gesture orders. And now you make your hand look like that, and you're ready to launch either two of your predefined apps, or maybe I'm not. Now I have to do it again. There we go. So I move my hand to it and voila, I have an app launched. Specifically on the media apps, you can use it to control your media. If I can. I can't make it work, but in the media app, it's supposed to give me the volume knob or the track control. Now, I also have been thinking about which situation you possibly would want to use this. Firstly, when I'm doing my dishes, I don't want to touch my phone, so do I want to use the gesture? Now, the reason why I don't want to touch it while I'm doing my dishes, there's a lot of water on my hand, there's the soap. I don't want it to drip down on my phone, although it's waterproof. But in order to use the gesture control, I have to put my hand or the glove on top of my phone anyway. So doing dishes, no. Or do I want to do this while I'm driving my car? Was it BMW or Mercedes? Anyway, they have the gesture control, you know, one of these wand looking things. But in order to engage with the actions, you have to be this close to the phone. I don't feel concentrating on your phone with this much distance on your hand while you're driving is a safe idea. I believe I can do more things more easily through Google Assistant here by saying, "Okay, Google." Even with the very limited uses, not all the apps work with it. Some of the predefined apps only work with that. So the teaser video's goodbye touch, that was a very bold statement, and that does not stand anything close to the truth. Now usually for the gimmicks, I don't bash them that hard because you can just decide not to use it. But then they sacrifice the design. There's still a relatively big notch on top of it for that gimmicky feature. I would be more than glad to trade all this for slimmer bezel and notch. And one more new technology is the lack of speaker. Well, there is a speaker inside the screen. They call it the Crystal Sound OLED, CSO. And the thing is, it doesn't generate the sound from here, which is where you put onto your ear, but in the very center, here. I mean, sure, it does make sound and you can hear things, but in the middle of the screen, it feels really awkward. And while I'm very sure that this is a new kind of technology different from the other manufacturers, but this has already been tried. Sharp did this with Aquos Crystal, Xiaomi did with Mi Mix, and guess what happened in the Mi Mix 2? They went back to the classic speaker. Coincidence? I don't think so. Now, performance-wise, it's got enough. Snapdragon 855 octa-core processor, 6 GB of RAM, and 120 GB storage, expandable through the microSD card slot. Now, the good news here is that it's quite responsive. You launch an app, close that, multitask between the apps, everything is very snappy. But the bad news is, it's got an LG software, meaning that it looks outdated. There's still no full screen gesture control. Xiaomi has it, Huawei has it, Samsung has it, OnePlus has it, but LG does not. There is an option to replace the classic navigation bar into the Android Pie one, the pill control, and there's a Google Assistant button that you can't map to another app. Now, the camera is one of the better parts. It's got triple cameras, normal, wide, and the telephoto. Zoom, again, might come with different setup in the rest of the world. Anyway, the main viewfinder looks like this. You can take a photo. There's auto mode, AI cam, and portrait mode, of course. Now, overall, it takes decent photos outdoor. The main lens is f1.5. That's very bright. The colors and details are also good. And especially the wide-angle camera is one of the best one in the low lighting condition. However, the indoor photos are a little tricky. I wouldn't say they are bad, but they feel a bit unnatural. They're saturated a little hard. They're a little too sharpened. I'm not an expert on this part, but it just doesn't look natural, you know? Now, it's 2019, so it does have the AI cam that automatically recognizes the scene and applies the right effect to it, but it's not integrated in the auto mode just like virtually any other manufacturer, and you have to manually turn it on. The software processing also is pretty slow. There's a severe shutter lags in the low lighting condition, but then it is faster than the S10 in the brighter areas, so I don't know what's happening here. If you like the portrait mode, you'd be glad to see that there is a video portrait mode, and the selfie cam also has the portrait mode that works really well, and the audio. Technically, it's got stereo speaker, one on the bottom and one coming from the screen, and it still has the boom sound speaker. First off, it sounds bad by the phone itself, and to make it any better, you have to put it on top of a material so they can resonate, vibrate together. If you're trying to listen to music, not that much of a problem. If you're trying to watch a movie on it, good luck. You'll have to stand up so you can watch it like this. And also a stereo sound coming from the bottom and a little bit from the back and front is ridiculous. When you say stereo sound effect, you expect left and right, not back and front. And that DTS:X 3D surround effect, that doesn't do any good to the speakers either. Thankfully, the Hi-Fi Quad DAC is still in, so if you prefer the wired audio, you're in much better luck. There are sound preset digital filter and balance with left and right audio. Now, the battery is one of the better parts. It gave me 6.5 hours of screen on time with the QHD Plus resolution and full-time LTE. So most of you with the Wi-Fi connection, either at your home or office, is gonna have a lot better battery life than I did. Topping the phone up is also fast. Half an hour is gonna give you 43%, an hour for 77, an hour and a half for 96, and fully charging the phone only takes an hour and 40 minutes. And there is also fast wireless charging, but there's no wireless power share like some of the competitors like Huawei or Samsung. And here we go with the conclusion with the G8 ThinQ. In a short way, it's not a bad phone like some of the previous LG phones were. But then I don't think it could compete well in the market either. The main competition, Galaxy S10, brought a lot of new features. There's wireless power share, built-in fingerprint reader, Infinity O display without the notch. And what did LG bring? Hand ID and the gesture control? I mean, it has upper hands in the few areas like the photo quality in specific situation and the battery life. But it's got boring design inside and out, and those weird new features are gonna scare you off. I think they're insane to charge $849.99, which is the same with the Galaxy S10. No wonder it's heavily discounted with the launch. With all honesty, I do admire that they're still trying new things. But then wait a second, it's not even new. Other companies tried it and people hated it. Why are you reviving all the wrong things? If the world didn't have any other phone than the G8 ThinQ, I think I'd be fine with this. But when there are a lot of great phones out there with the same or lower prices, the G8 ThinQ doesn't even stand a chance. So that was our quick look on the LG G8 ThinQ. It's not a bad phone, but get something else. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, please do leave them down in the comment section below. You can always meet us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll see you guys later. Ciao.